Hello YouTube, it's your girl Crystal Lane. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back to my YouTube channel. More importantly, welcome to another edition of Bible Unboxing. Remember, we are currently unboxing or reacting to my Sunday morning services. Child, look at this big old bump. Please ignore that. Oh my gosh, it's driving me nuts. Anyway, we're reacting to, well, I'm reacting and you're enjoying my reactions, hopefully, to the Sunday morning sermons that I get where my pastor is talking about different books of the Bible. And right now we're reacting to the book of Esther. My goodness, if you haven't already done so, if you haven't listened to my reaction videos, let's start there. Listen to my reaction videos about the book of Esther. But more importantly, read it for yourself. This is some really good stuff. And if you don't want to read it, child, you know the Bible app now has it where it will read it to you. And you could select different versions of the Bible, like ESV or NLT or NIV or King James. Pick one and or pick several, so that you can get a full view or full thought of or full understanding of what the scriptures are saying. So we're in the book of Esther, and what I do is on Sundays after church, I go ahead and I do a reaction video. Now, I try to do the reaction video right away because if I wait until I get inside or whatnot, it might not happen. So we finished chapter 7 today. Now, mind you, just so you know, chapter 7 is very short. It is only 10 verses. But a lot, it's action-packed. A lot is happening in chapter 7, and it's really moving the story along. So I'm going to do what I call a recap. I'm going to share with you what has been going on thus far, because it's going to be important to know these things when I start talking about chapter 7. So, remember, right now what's happening is Esther is providing or giving a feast to the king, and she is and this is the second day that she was able to provide a feast to the king. But not only did she invite the king, she invited the second in command to the king, which is Haman. Now Haman, as second in command, he believes that he should be he should have a level of respect that nobody else has. That means he expects that the other leaders or people that are deemed a part of the people at the gate or Senate leadership, or however they put them in whatever order, he believes that they should bow to him or show some deference to him. And right now he's upset with Haman, who is a part of this, he's upset with Mordecai, who's a part of this court, because Mordecai does not defer to him. When he enters into his sight, Mordecai does not rise, he does not stand, he does not bow, he does not do whatever it is that Haman believes that everybody else should do. And everybody else is doing it. Mordecai isn't. So he's so upset about this to the point that he wants to kill Mordecai. But not just kill Mordecai and all his people. And not just Mordecai's immediate family. He wants to kill all his people, meaning all the Jewish people. Now, there's a lot of history behind this level of hate for this body of people, to the point where he wants to wipe out all of the Jewish people. Go back and read that. I won't get into that today in this reaction video. I will say that he goes to the king and he says to the king, there's a group of people that are not, they have their own rules, they do their own thing, they're not abiding by what you say should be done here in the kingdom, and I think we should just go ahead and kill them. So he says, as a matter of fact, I feel so strongly about it, I'll give you all of this silver, all this pounds of silver, if you allow me hand these Jewish people over to me to do with what I choose to do. So king says, bet, say less, go ahead, here's my signet ring, you go ahead and do what it is that you want to do to these people. So then Haman writes this decree out saying that on the 12th day on the 13th month of the 12th day, all Jewish people will be slaughtered throughout the kingdom, not just the surrounding areas, throughout the kingdom. On this day, it's going to be a mass slaughter for these people. It's just crazy that, you put this in writing. It's just just crazy to me. So you got all these Jewish people, and some of them are leadership roles, so they know. And so although they know, and that includes Mordecai, Mordecai does not make any changes to the way in which he operates around. What is off? I don't know. My car is, I don't know. We'll have to talk about that later. I don't know what that means. But anyway, Mordecai is not changing the way in which he operates. He's still not deferring to Haman. He's still not bowing or scraping or doing whatever it is that Haman wants to do, even though he knows that surely him and his people will die. But he goes to his niece, who happens to be the Queen Esther, and he says, look, don't think because you're the king's wife that you won't be impacted by this edict to kill all Jews. You will be included because he can't leave you. So you might want to go talk to your husband, the king, and try to right this wrong that Haman has brought upon our people. Well, Esther's like, well, they nice to me, this, that, and the third. I don't know if she says all of that, but this is what I imagine. So she don't know what to do. So she goes back to her cousin, who is Mordecai, and says, have everybody fast, and I'm gonna fast, and then I'll come up with an idea. So she has these two feasts. She has the first feast, and she invites the King Xerxes, the first of his name, and then also his second in command, Haman. They have a good time. And then the king says, what can I do you for? Up to half of my kingdom. And she's like, well, come back tomorrow and have another feast. I'd love to sit with you and have you in my presence. And then I promise tomorrow I'll tell you. So the king says, not a problem. I had such a good time. I'd love to come back and spend some time with my beautiful queenly wife or whatnot. And so the plan is for them to come back the next day. Well, the night that he had the first feast, for whatever reason, King Xerxes, the first of his name, could not sleep. And this is in chapter 6. So he can't sleep. So he asked that they bring the book of memorable deeds. That's what they call it, the book of memorable deeds, the chronicles. And he asked his attendant to read the book of memorable deeds. As he's going through the book of memorable deeds, he notices and he remembers the fact that Mordecai, Esther's cousin, who is guardian to her, had reported the plan to unalive the king Xerxes, the first of his name, the plan to unalive him. And so he went to his niece, cousin, and made her aware. And she went to the king and made the king aware that Mordecai had heard of this deed to unalive him, and these are the people that were planning to unalive him. So the king says, what honor or distinction has been bestowed upon Mordecai for this? The attendant said, yeah, king, you didn't do anything. Nothing was done, but you live. Long live the king. I don't know if he said that, but hey, it sounds like something that they would say, right? So they're saying nothing was done. And then the king was like, well, he's thinking to himself, I need to rectify that. Who's in the court right now? So who's in the court? Haman's in the court. So remember, Haman is in the court because after he had a great time, after he had a great time hanging out with the king and the queen, he got ready to go home, but he has to pass the gate. And who at the gate? Mordecai. And did Mordecai bow, scrape, and do whatever he expected to do? He still ain't doing it. So now Haman is in a in a tizzy, child. So he go home, he summons his wise people, he summons his wife's arrest, and he sits them down, and he's like, man, I got all these great things. I'm second in command. I didn't pull myself up from my bootstraps. I got this land, I got this beautiful wife, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and I got a bunch of sons. I have everything going on for myself. But it means absolutely nothing if I have to keep looking at that Jew, Mordecai. Now, I'm sure he put in a lot of other slurs, because you know when you that indignant, you got a lot of other stuff, but the Bible says you just need to know this part. So he says all of that means nothing if I have to keep looking at this Jew, Mordecai. He gots to go. And that's crazy to me. That's, you know, and I keep saying this because it's just crazy to me that, oh my gosh, you got all these great things going for you, but this one person gonna say it means nothing. Anyways, let me not get back into that. My bag. Check out my video that talked about that. So he says that. And so then these people that are considered his wise counsel, I consider, you know, your friends, and then your favorite wife or whatnot, or she might be the first wife. I don't know, but they specifically said which wife he called, which is the rest. And I don't know, he might not have more than one wife, because the Bible really doesn't say that. I'm just deducing based on the time that he likely has more than one wife. But he might not. The rest might be it. But anyway, so he's telling them it means nothing. This guy gotta go. So then the wise people in his arrest says to him, well, how about this? Why don't you go ahead and build a, you know, my pastor says 75-foot gallows to kill. Go ahead and impale Mordecai on it. He already gave you permission to kill the Jews. He gave you his signet ring. You'd already put the stamp of king's approval and sent it out to everybody. What difference does it make if you kill one Jew earlier than the rest? Haman says, what a great idea. Go ahead and build that, and tomorrow I'll talk to the king about it. Because they said, go ahead and kill him, and then go on after you kill him, go on to the feast with the king and have a good time with the king and the queen. So he's like, yep, let's go ahead and do that. He had the gallows built, and then he rested well, because he's like, I know the king gonna go ahead and do, because the king, I'm his right hand man. He does whatever I ask him to do. So I know he gonna go ahead and allow me to kill this Mordecai. Well, the king has this. We're back on chapter 6 now. The king has this revelation that he never honored Mordecai. So he summons Haman into the court, because Haman is there to ask permission. Remember, that's why he's there. He summons Haman into his presence. And before Haman can share what he wants, the king asks him a question. I love how they ask questions. Keep in mind, that's a good way to do things. When you are not sure, or you want people to come to their own conclusion, instead of telling them what to think, ask them a question to see what they think. And keep asking questions until it comes about exactly a full understanding of what's going on. Okay? They come to their own full understanding what's going on. So the king asks him a question. He says, what should be done to the man whom the king delights to honor? And the Bible tells us, Haman said to himself, whom would the king delight to honor more than me? So he's thinking that the king has plans to honor him, but he's asking him specifically how you want to be honored. Now, the king didn't ask, he didn't say, how would you want to be honored? I want to honor you. The king said, what do you think I should do? Should you think I should do for a man that I want to honor? He never said it was going to be Haman, but Haman automatically thought, who does a king want to delight? Who does he delight to honor more than me? And so Haman says to the king, for the man whom the king delights to honor, he says, let them bring a royal robe in which you once wore, and then bring out one of the king's own royal horses with the king's signet on the horse, on the crown, and let the robe and the horse be handed over to one of the king's most notable officials. Let them dress the man whom the king, let that official dress the man in whom the king delights to honor, and then let them lead the man on the horse through the square of the city. So it's not the full kingdom, it's just the square of the city around here. And at that time, he wants them to, yell, this is, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Oh, he says, what did he say? He says they walking around the square proclaiming before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Now the word never says this, but again, it did say that Haman thought that the king was talking about him. I'm thinking that Haman was thinking, he's talking about me. I'm going to insist that the official that walks me around with the royal noble robe and the royal noble horse is Mordecai. I could be wrong, because the word doesn't say that, child, but I'm making it up because I know petty when I see petty, right? And so he was very clear, let it be an official, noble official, to do the walking around. So I'm thinking that his plan was, oh, I can have Mordecai traipse me around shouting, this shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. And then shortly after that, shortly after that, I can have him impaled on the 75-foot gallows that I have had erected just last night. So I had people working all night to build this, right? Anyway, so the king says, and so Haman is hyped. I bet you he hyped, like, yeah, we should do that. Then the king says to Haman, hurry, take the robe and the horse, and you have, as you have said, and do so for Mordecai. So that's what happens in chapter 5. I won't go into it more because I can still go back into that. But he says, do it to Mordecai. He says, you go and you do it to Mordecai. So all of what Haman is picturing in his head to have Mordecai have to do for him, he's required to do for Mordecai. It's going to get worse for him. So anyway, so he does that. He's all upset. He's all in a tizzy, whatnot. And remember, last week I was like, I hate friends like this, because then after all that is done, he walks around. He's embarrassed. He's upset. So he calls his advisors again. He tells his advisors how embarrassed he is, how upset he is. And then his wise men and his wife said to him, if Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, they already recognize that you have begun to fall, is of the Jewish people, you will not overcome him, but will surely fall before him. Let's not talk about these people, because they knew he was Jewish before that, but you had him build his gallows and do all this tomfoolery. Anyway, let me get off of that. So right at the end of chapter 6, he's saying while they were talking, the king summons him. The king has a eunuch to summon him to come and have this feast. So after they said that, who knows what Haman thought at that time. My pastor believes that he may have thought, well, look, I'm still in good with the king. Forget all of that. Now they ain't as wise as he thought. They was wise enough for you to, build this gallows or whatnot. But maybe he's thinking, yeah, I'm still good with the king. I'm still good with the queen. Look, I'm still going to have dinner with them. So all is good. All is well in my world. I'll worry about this later. And I'll talk to king about impaling Haman and impaling Mordecai another time. So chapter 7. So we're at chapter 7. They're having the feast. They're again having a good time. Now they're sitting down for drinks. And again, the king asks Esther, queen. He says, what is your wish, Queen Esther? Now he's making sure he knows that now not only are you fine, you know how to treat a man through, the route to a man's heart is through his stomach or whatnot. You know how to treat a man, feed him well. And so what can I do you for up to half of my kingdom? Then Queen Esther answers, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be granted me for my wish, and my people for my request. For we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be killed, and to be annihilated. If we had been sold merely as slave men and women, I would have been silent, for our affliction is not to be compared with the loss to the king. So then the king, Xerxes the first of his name, said to Queen Esther, who is he, and where is he who has dared to do this? And Esther said, a foe, an enemy, this wicked Haman. Then Haman was terrified before the king and the queen. All right. So the king has said to, the king has asked Esther again, what can I do you for up to half of my kingdom? And now Esther is ready to answer. She's like, spare me my life and the life of my people, is basically what she's saying. And then she's saying, keep in mind, king, if you only wanted to slave me and my people, I would be silent, because who am I to take away from what is yours to have, right? But this is our life, and you're going to lose out on money. See, she appealing to his practicality too. You're going to lose out on money if you kill me and my people, right? Because we do all of these things. We provide services. We provide, we do a lot of stuff for the kingdom. So not only are my people losing our life, you're going to be losing out on money too. And so the king is like, well, who is this that who did such a thing? So keep in mind also that the words that Queen Esther used in here, where she says, for we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed and to be killed and to be annihilated. Those are the same words in which Haman wrote in the decree to kill the Jewish people. And so she's throwing those words back. And the fact that the king was indignant, he was upset, he was like, who would do such a thing, leads us to believe that the king didn't know what Haman had written. He didn't have any clue exactly what Haman had written, his second in command. He just knows that he gave him the signet ring, said, jot down what you want to say, and then use my ring as a stamp, which that means that they don't know that Haman was the one necessarily. Rumors get around, but the people, once it gets out, didn't necessarily know. They just know that the king said this. And once there's a decree and once it's out there, there's no going back. It's out there. But she's saying, he's saying, who did such a thing? And then he says, a foe. She says, a foe, an enemy, this wicked Haman. Then Haman was terrified. Haman was terrified because Haman knew he wrote those words. Before the king even had to ask who wrote them, he knew, because they were his words. He didn't write them and say, here, king, read it over and then put your seal. No, the king gave him his ring and told him, write what you want and then put the stamp of my approval on there. So the king is mad. He's upset because now he's like, nah, I done did this. I can't go back on what I wrote. People gonna think something of me. So he gets up, and they say, and the king rose in his wrath from the wine, drinking, and went into the palace garden. But Haman stayed behind to beg for his life from Queen Esther, for he saw that harm was determined against him by the king. So king is out, he pacing back and forth, figuring out how he can get himself out of this conundrum that he put himself in. And he's upset that now he's also supposed to kill what? His wife? His queen? He just found this queen. He done already set aside one queen, Queen Vashti. Now he's supposed to kill Queen Esther because they didn't realize her lineage. They didn't realize that she was part of the Jewish people. So Haman is now begging for his life to Queen Esther or whatnot. And the king returns from the palace garden to the palace, to the place where they were drinking wine, as Haman. So king walks in as Haman is falling, right? And he's falling on the couch in which Esther is sitting. So my pastor was like, it wasn't by coinky dink. He's like, we had our vision of, what did he say? If we had our heavenly vision on, we would see an angel kneeling and the other one pushing him over onto Esther. Anyway, so he's falling onto Esther. It says he's falling. That's what the word says. So it didn't say he was attacking. It didn't say he was trying to attack or to do anything to her. It says that he was falling onto Esther, right? And I believe, let me see. So King walks in as Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was. Now this is the ESV version. Let me see if any other version says something different. And that's verse number 7. No, verse number 8. So I'm now in the NIV version, and it says from the palace garden to the banquet hall. So just as the king was returning from the palace garden to the banquet hall, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was reclining. So that's the NIV version. Let's see what King James says. Again, that's verse 8, chapter 7. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was falling upon the bed whereon Esther was. So each time they're saying he was falling. Every version says he was falling. It did not say. Now, initially, when I was reading, I'm thinking they meant attacking, but the word didn't say that. It said he was falling. So he was falling onto Esther. But the king says, when he sees this, and the king says, will he even assault the queen in my presence, in my own house? And then as the word left the mouth of the king, they covered Haman's face. So now the king is like, oh, I'm an opportunist. This is an opportunity to rectify, at least handling Haman. Oh, you gonna attack my wife? You gonna assault my wife, my queen, even in my own bedchamber? Oh, now you're getting beside yourself, Haman. Garçon. Now, garçon is usually the butler, but he everything nowadays. So he didn't even have to summon them, because of course it's the king's guard, it's the king's house. I'm sure they got sent people staying at the gate or at the door or whatnot. So they come, they put a bag over Haman's face. Then Harbona, one of the eunuchs in attendance on the king, said, moreover, the gallows that Haman has prepared for Mordecai, whose word save the king, is standing at Haman's house 50 cubits high. 50 cubits high means 75 feet. And the king said, hang him on that. So now they're saying, moreover, you remember Mordecai, one of those who had saved your life? Haman is trying to kill him. He's planning on hanging him. And the king was like, oh, so you even mad because this man saved my life, and now you plan on hanging him because I've honored him? Now, of course, that's not the way it happened. But hey, this is another spin. Again, being an opportunist, and the king is who the king is. So the king said, hang him on that. Guess what happened? He got hung. Haman got hung. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then the wrath of the king was abated. That's verse 10, chapter 7. That's it. 30 minutes into this video, and I just got to verse 10. So Haman is now dead. The problem is that just because Haman is dead does not mean that the decree has gone, the edict has gone. It's still there. It still had, it didn't say per Haman, it said per the king. So there's a lot more that's going to happen. I would say one of the things that this story so far has taught me is that don't ever plan to cause ill will. I mean, plan to cause ill will against somebody. Because that very plan could come out, and it could be, what do they say? The snare in which you set for somebody could be the one that entraps you. I don't know if that's the way it goes, but you know what I mean. You know, you're planning these evil things to do to somebody, and it could be the very thing that takes you down. So I would say, work on not doing that. Work on not doing that. You know, the word tells us that we should bless those who curse us. We should pray for those who curse us. It does not say that we should take, as a matter of fact, it tells us the different. It says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, right? So we let God do what he do. And this is a clear picture of that. For Mordecai, he said, vengeance is mine. The word doesn't tell us that Mordecai went out and tried to do anything to Haman, even though he knew that Haman had these plans, or had set this plan in motion. He just said, he went to Esther and said, hey, talk to the king and see if there's something we can do about this. But it's not over, because there's still more to come. They're still in jeopardy of dying the 12th month, the 13th day, around Passover time. So stay tuned. There's more. There's going to be more for the book of Esther. This is really good. If you guys aren't finding this word good, I don't know what to tell you. I absolutely love the book of Esther. I love studying the Bible this way. Hopefully you guys are enjoying my Bible unboxing. If you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so if you could help a sister out and share the video. Keep in mind that I'll be putting the sermon. I do add the Sunday sermons in my the comment sections or the notes or whatnot. So take a look at that if you want to listen to what my pastor had about the Sunday service. Feel free to do so as well. Until next time, remember, if you're not good to anybody else, be good to yourself. Start with you and then work that goodness outward. It's better to be good and kind than it is to be evil and mean. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Until next time, see you soon, YouTube. Bye now.